Everybody want to win, but few ever stop and ask themselves if they even thinking in the right direction. You can hustle hard, you can work all day, but if your mindset ain't aligned with the life you chasing, you just running in circles. I'm here to tell you, the foundation of success ain't just money, ain't just connections, it's how you think. Correct thinking is the difference between moving forward and being stuck in the same spot for years. Everything in life begins with the way you think. Before a person builds a business, before a writer puts words on paper, before an athlete breaks a record, it all starts as a thought in the mind. The mind is the blueprint, the place where reality is first sketched out. If that blueprint is messy, incomplete, or filled with doubt, then the results in the physical world will reflect the same. But if the mind is organized, clear, and full of vision, then it becomes almost impossible not to see success eventually manifest. Correct thinking is not something that just happens automatically. It is a skill, one that must be trained daily. Every single thought you allow yourself to dwell on is like a seed you are planting. Plant enough negative seeds and your future will be filled with obstacles of your own creation. Plant seeds of clarity, focus, and possibility, and your reality begins to shift into alignment with those ideas. The truth is, most people underestimate the power of their own thoughts. They think circumstances are just random or luck decides who wins, but in reality every choice is born from a thought, and every thought comes from the way the mind has been conditioned. If you think small, you will live small. If you think the world owes you something, you will spend your life frustrated. But if you think in terms of responsibility, discipline, and opportunity, then you begin to unlock doors you didn't even realize existed. The mind is like a muscle. If you train it to think in the right way, it grows stronger, sharper, more precise. But if you leave it unchecked, if you allow it to wander without discipline, it weakens, it loses focus, and it creates a life filled with distractions. Correct thinking is not about being positive all the time. It is about being intentional. It is about questioning your thoughts and asking yourself, does this thought move me closer to my vision, or does it hold me back? Many people let their minds run wild with fear, doubt, and comparison. They scroll endlessly, consume negativity, and then wonder why their lives feel stuck. But the mind is simply doing what it has been trained to do. If you give it confusion, it will create confusion. If you feed it direction, it will create a path. You become the architect of your life when you decide to take control of your thinking. Once you understand that the mind is the starting point, the next step is to realize that correct thinking demands long-term vision. Too many people sabotage their own potential because they are obsessed with short-term gratification. They want to see results immediately. They start something today and expect to see rewards tomorrow. And when it doesn't come fast enough, they quit and move to the next thing, repeating the cycle over and over. The problem is not their effort. The problem is their thinking. They are thinking in the short term, but greatness only reveals itself in the long term. Imagine planting a seed in the ground and expecting a tree by next week. That's how most people treat their goals. They water it once, maybe twice, then walk away when nothing has sprouted yet. Correct thinking knows that everything worth having requires patience and consistency. If you look at any successful person, you will find years of work behind their achievements. Nothing lasting is ever built overnight. Long-term thinking is what separates those who build empires from those who chase trends. When you think long-term, you stop worrying about temporary struggles and setbacks because you know they are just part of the process. This shift in perspective is powerful. Short-term thinkers are constantly discouraged because they measure progress in days and weeks. Long-term thinkers remain steady because they measure progress in years and decades. Short-term thinkers want quick money, while long-term thinkers build wealth. Short-term thinkers look for shortcuts, while long-term thinkers master the process. Correct thinking forces you to step back and see the bigger picture. It allows you to say no to distractions because you understand that they might satisfy you today but cost you tomorrow. The danger of short-term thinking is that it keeps you in survival mode. You are always reacting to the moment instead of creating a future. It blinds you to opportunities that require time to develop. Correct thinking breaks that cycle. It trains you to invest energy into things that will pay off later, even if nobody claps for you right now. It's about playing chess while others play checkers, seeing moves ahead while others only see the square they stand on. Thinking long-term does not mean ignoring the present. It means making choices today that align with where you want to be tomorrow. Every action becomes a brick you are laying down, and over time those bricks turn into a foundation. When you live this way, you are no longer impatient because you trust the process. You are no longer easily distracted because you know the cost of wasting time. You begin to move with patience, strategy, and confidence. Correct thinking shifts your energy from chasing temporary highs to building permanent results. One of the most common ways people destroy their own opportunities is by letting emotions run the show. Anger, pride, jealousy, fear, or even excitement can lead to quick decisions that create long-term problems. The truth is, emotions are natural, they are part of being human, but when they control your choices, they become dangerous. Correct thinking requires the ability to pause before reacting, to step back and separate your feelings from your judgment. When you act out of anger, you might say something that breaks a relationship you needed. When you act out of fear, you might pass on an opportunity that could have changed your life. When you act out of pride, you might try to prove a point and end up losing something valuable. The ability to control emotions is not about suppressing them, it is about managing them. It is about recognizing the feeling, but choosing not to let it dictate your next move. Think about the most successful people you admire. They are not people who make rash decisions in the heat of the moment. They are calculated, they are deliberate, they move with intention. That comes from training the mind to think beyond temporary emotions. Correct thinking means asking yourself, if I make this choice right now, how will it affect me in a year? If I react to this situation with emotion, will I regret it later? That kind of discipline builds power because it puts you in control of your life instead of letting circumstances control you. Most conflicts, most mistakes, most regrets come from people reacting without thinking. Correct thinking allows you to rise above that pattern. It allows you to build instead of destroy, to move forward instead of being trapped by impulses. It is easy to let emotions take over, especially in high-pressure situations, but that is where correct thinking proves its value. The person who can stay calm when everything around them is chaotic is the one who ends up making the smartest moves. Emotional decisions are short-sighted, they only see the moment. Strategic decisions see beyond the moment, they look at the bigger picture. Correct thinking trains you to detach, to breathe, to analyze, and then act. That small pause between feeling and action is often the difference between success and failure. Another critical shift in mindset is learning to think in terms of solutions instead of problems. Many people spend their entire lives stuck in the habit of focusing on what is wrong. They constantly talk about obstacles, they complain about difficulties, they dwell on setbacks. The problem with that kind of thinking is that it keeps you frozen. If all your energy is directed toward what is wrong, you will never see what could be right. Correct thinking redirects your focus. Instead of asking why this is happening to me, you begin to ask, how can I fix this? How can I use this? What is the next move? That one shift in mindset changes everything. Life will always present problems. No matter how smart, wealthy, or disciplined you are, challenges are guaranteed. But the difference between people who rise and people who stay stuck is how they respond. A person who only sees problems will stop at the first obstacle. A person who trains their mind to look for solutions will see the same obstacle as a lesson, a test, or even a hidden opportunity. Correct thinking does not deny that the problem exists, it simply refuses to give the problem more power than the solution. When you think in solutions, your brain automatically starts searching for answers, and in that process, new ideas, new strategies, and new opportunities reveal themselves. This kind of thinking also builds resilience. When you constantly focus on problems, you drain your own energy, you feed negativity, and eventually you convince yourself that progress is impossible. But when you focus on solutions, you build confidence. You remind yourself that every situation has a way forward. Even if the solution takes time, even if it requires creativity, you develop the belief that you are capable of overcoming it. That belief is what keeps you moving. Correct thinking turns obstacles into stepping stones instead of roadblocks. Many people fail not because their challenges are bigger than others, but because their mindset makes the challenges feel impossible. The reality is most problems have been solved before in some way. Most difficulties have a path through them, but only the people who think correctly, the ones who ask better questions and focus on progress, actually find that path. Correct thinking means training yourself to ask, what can I do right now? What resources do I have? Who can I learn from? How can I turn this around? These kinds of questions activate creativity, they open your vision, and they move you closer to solutions. Living with this mindset transforms the way you approach everything. Instead of dreading challenges, you begin to expect them and prepare for them. Instead of being paralyzed by setbacks, you learn to pivot and adapt. You no longer waste time complaining or blaming because you understand that energy spent on problems is wasted energy. Correct thinking demands that you invest your focus where it matters most, on actions that move you forward. The quality of your mind will always be shaped by the environment you create around it. Just like the body becomes a reflection of the food you eat, the mind becomes a reflection of the information, energy, and influences you feed it daily. Too many people want growth while living in environments that poison their thinking. They surround themselves with negativity, gossip, distractions, and then wonder why they feel stuck. Correct thinking cannot exist in a polluted environment. You have to be intentional about what you let into your mental space. If you constantly consume content that tears you down instead of building you up, your mind will echo those patterns. If you spend time with people who lack vision, who only focus on drama, who speak doubt into every dream, eventually their words will sink into your own thoughts. Protecting your mental environment means treating your mind as something sacred. It means choosing carefully who gets your time, what conversations you engage in, and what information you expose yourself to. This doesn't mean isolating yourself completely, but it does mean setting boundaries. It means asking yourself, is this person adding value to my life or draining it? Is this content inspiring me to move forward or keeping me in the same cycle? Is this habit shaping me into the person I want to be or pulling me away from my vision? When you start protecting your mental environment, you naturally begin to elevate. You notice that clarity becomes stronger, that motivation lasts longer, that creativity flows more freely. The reason is simple: you are no longer fighting against constant negativity. Think of it like planting a garden. If you want strong plants, you make sure the soil is clean. You keep weeds from taking over. You water it with the right nutrients. The same applies to your mind. If your environment is filled with chaos, your thoughts will grow weak and scattered. But if your environment is filled with knowledge, inspiration, and focus, your thoughts will grow strong and disciplined. Protecting your mental space is not just about cutting out negativity, it's also about intentionally adding positivity. That might mean reading books that challenge you, listening to voices that uplift you, or spending time in silence to hear your own thoughts clearly. Every choice either strengthens your mental environment or weakens it. Correct thinking only survives in a space that is cared for and guarded daily. Alongside creating the right environment, discipline becomes the foundation that keeps your thinking aligned. Without discipline, even the strongest vision collapses. It is one thing to know how to think correctly, but it is another to consistently live it out. Discipline is the bridge between thought and action, between vision and reality. Many people know what they should do, but they lack the discipline to follow through. They allow feelings to dictate actions, waiting until they feel motivated instead of committing regardless of emotion. Correct thinking requires discipline because the mind is easily distracted. Without discipline, every new temptation, every new distraction, every small setback can pull you off course. Discipline is what trains your mind to stay focused even when it is uncomfortable. It is waking up early when you want to sleep in, staying consistent when results are not yet visible, saying no to things that look good in the moment but threaten your future. Discipline does not make life easier, but it makes life more controlled. It sharpens your ability to stick to your vision when everything around you tries to pull you away from it. Correct thinking without discipline is like having a map but never walking the path. You know where to go, but you never reach the destination. The power of discipline is that it builds strength over time. Every time you resist distraction, you make your mind stronger. Every time you choose purpose over comfort, you make your mindset sharper. Discipline compounds, and eventually it becomes part of your identity. You no longer need to push yourself as hard because your habits begin to carry you. But none of that happens without the decision to practice discipline daily. Correct thinking requires a mind that can be trusted, and discipline is how you earn that trust. When you say you will do something and then you follow through consistently, your mind learns to believe in itself. That belief builds confidence, and that confidence turns into momentum. The combination of protecting your environment and practicing discipline creates a powerful cycle. Your environment keeps your thoughts clean and focused, while your discipline ensures that focus turns into action. Together, they form the structure that correct thinking thrives on. You cannot think clearly if your environment is full of noise, and you cannot progress if your actions lack discipline. When you guard both, your mindset becomes unstoppable. You become the kind of person who is not swayed by distractions, who is not shaken by negativity, who is not broken by temporary struggles. You rise above because your mind has been trained to move with intention and strength. The way you see the world determines the way you move through it. If your perspective is narrow, your options will always feel limited. If your mind only operates within what you have already experienced, you will keep repeating the same cycles without realizing there are higher levels waiting for you. Expanding your perspective is one of the most powerful parts of correct thinking because it opens your eyes to opportunities that were invisible before. The truth is, your current knowledge, your current experiences, and your current beliefs are only a fraction of what is possible. When you begin to expose yourself to new knowledge, different cultures, different ideas, and the wisdom of those who came before you, your entire vision of life expands. Suddenly, problems that once felt impossible shrink because you see new ways of approaching them. Goals that once seemed too far away begin to feel achievable because you have seen others accomplish them. A closed perspective keeps you trapped. It makes you think your neighborhood is the whole world, your situation is permanent, your circumstances cannot change. But when you expand your perspective, you realize the world is bigger, opportunities are wider, and your mind is capable of more than you imagined. Reading a single book can open doors in your thinking that shift the course of your life. Traveling outside of your comfort zone can show you ways of living you never considered. Learning from people who are years ahead of you can save you from making mistakes that would cost you valuable time. Correct thinking is not about believing you already know everything. It is about being humble enough to know there is always more to learn. Expanding your perspective also trains your mind to adapt. Life is unpredictable, and if you can only think one way, you will break under pressure. But if you have a wide perspective, you become flexible. You are able to pivot, to adjust, to approach situations with creativity instead of fear. When your perspective is narrow, every challenge looks like a dead end. When your perspective is wide, every challenge looks like a puzzle waiting for the right solution. That difference is what allows some people to keep growing while others stay stuck. By seeking new knowledge and new experiences, you sharpen your ability to think beyond the obvious, to see angles that others overlook, and to move in ways that give you an advantage. Expanding perspective also brings gratitude. When you see how other people live, when you understand the struggles they face, you begin to appreciate what you already have while still pushing for more. Gratitude creates balance in your thinking. It keeps you grounded while you aim high. Correct thinking is not just about chasing goals, it is also about understanding your place in the bigger picture, realizing that every lesson and every experience contributes to the person you are becoming. The more your perspective grows, the more capable you become of making decisions that serve not just your present but also your future. All of this leads to the highest level of correct thinking, the ability to turn vision into legacy. It is one thing to achieve personal success, it is another to build something that outlives you. Correct thinking is the foundation of legacy because it ensures your moves are not just about short-term gain but about long-term impact. When you think in terms of legacy, your decisions carry more weight. You begin to ask, how will this choice affect the people after me? How will this action echo beyond my own lifetime? What mark am I leaving on the world? That kind of thinking changes the way you hustle, the way you build, and the way you live. Legacy is not only about money or buildings or businesses, though those can be part of it. Legacy is about influence, about values, about creating something that inspires others to keep going long after you are gone. Correct thinking trains you to move with purpose so strong that it leaves an imprint. You realize that the true measure of success is not just what you achieve for yourself, but what you create for others. It is about lifting people, setting examples, and showing what is possible. Every great leader, every visionary, every builder of empires thought in terms of legacy. They understood that their vision had to be bigger than themselves if it was going to last. When you start thinking this way, your daily actions take on new meaning. The discipline you practice, the knowledge you gain, the environment you create, the solutions you find all become part of a larger picture. You are no longer just chasing goals for the moment, you are constructing a blueprint that others can follow. You are planting seeds that will keep growing even when you are no longer here to water them. Correct thinking is what turns a simple dream into a movement, a hustle into an empire, and a person into a legend. Legacy requires patience and sacrifice. It requires saying no to shortcuts because you understand shortcuts rarely stand the test of time. It requires building with integrity because you know anything built on weak values will eventually collapse. Correct thinking gives you the ability to endure that process. It reminds you that temporary struggles are nothing compared to the impact of leaving behind something meaningful. It keeps you grounded when temptations arise and focused when distractions appear. When your mind is trained to think in terms of legacy, you start to carry yourself differently. You begin to see yourself not just as an individual, but as part of a larger story. You understand that your mindset, your vision, and your discipline have the power to influence generations, and that awareness pushes you to rise higher, to move smarter, and to build stronger. Correct thinking is not just about creating success in your own life, it is about making sure that success has a purpose beyond you. It is about ensuring that the path you carve makes it easier for others to walk. At the end of it all, everything comes back to the way you choose to think. The mind is the command center of your life, and when it is aligned with clarity, discipline, vision, and perspective, there is nothing you cannot build. Correct thinking is not about being perfect, it is about being intentional. It is about protecting your environment, controlling your emotions, focusing on solutions, expanding your perspective, and moving with a vision that stretches beyond the present moment. This is how you separate yourself from the ordinary. This is how you take control of your life and create something meaningful. The way you think will either trap you or free you. And when you train your mind to move correctly, you unlock a power that no setback, no obstacle, and no person can take from you. Thank you for giving your time and energy to this message. I appreciate every single person who tuned in, who listened, and who is committed to elevating their mindset. Stay focused, stay disciplined, and keep building. Your future is already waiting for you, and it all begins with how you think.